Welcome back. Well, with me today is Dan Oweiler. He is, of course, the president of Sterling Financial Advisors.
Whatever that means.
Well, that's how you're listed anyway, you know. Chief cook and bottle washer.
There you go.
There.
Dump the trash.
Yeah. Well, you know, today we're going to be talking about Social Security. And, of course, you know, this is the time of the year. Of course, people are looking at their Medicare programs. But also, this is the time of the year that it's always suggested by our friend Jeffrey Rodriguez of course, Social Security.
Right.
To look at you can go online, obviously, to My Social Security and kind of look at where you're at and change things and whatever you need to do.
Well, historically, when they started Social Security back in the 1940s, you know, it wasn't meant to be a catch-all retirement program.
Right.
It was supposed to supplement those people that maybe hadn't saved enough or anything like that. You know, now it's become very important. I think we have a slide that shows how many people are now claiming
this
Social
is what we're having here. And I put a line around 1940 just so people. I have a question here. If there was a mistake, you put the word trust on here associated with the government. That seems a little. Was that a mistake?
They'll never touch the Social Security trust fund, right?
Right. But you know, this really shows look at the ratio. That's really the most important thing. The ratio of workers.
Almost 160 workers for every person on Social Security.
Yeah.
That obviously changed as the baby boomer generation started to retire. You know, we have 80,000 of us retiring every year for the next decade, 80 million going on it. And so not only that, but the workforce is shrinking. So the ratio is really dropping significantly, where last year it was at 2.8 workers for every one person on Social Security. Well, you know, that actually impacts, they estimate that the Social Security system is supposed to run out in 2035.
Right.
Unless they do something, which they will, you know, I mean, they're not going to, but most of those changes probably more than likely will not affect those that are currently on Social Security.
Yeah.
It's those that are coming up.
Right.
Okay, and there's a lot of different options in those changes. And I think we have a slide that talks about that.
Yeah.
You know, and so
in the next slide, it shows, I know one of them that raising the age of eligibility, and if we could show the next slide, this will come up. This is the one that's talked about the most because, let's face it, it's the easiest.
Right.
And it doesn't cost anything, really.
Well, really what they should do, when I say eligibility, you know, you can start taking Social Security at age 62.
Yeah.
If they would move that to 65, so when you're eligible for Medicare, you can get Social Security. That would significantly impact the viability of the trust fund.
Right.
And so, you know, you don't necessarily, you know, when they first started, Social Security you were eligible at 65.
Yeah.
Then it went to 66. Now it's 67 for those that are born after, you know, 50. I think it's 1959 or 7 or something like that.
Yes, 59. Yeah.
And so it's 67. Well, that will probably go up as well. It'll probably go to age 68 and then 69 or 70. But that's going to affect your children and my children, you know, when it comes time. But if they could change that eligibility rule for 62 maybe to 65, that would have a significant increase. You know, and that in and of itself, you know, might affect some of the people now, but they would grandfather all those who are currently on it.
And the interesting thing about that is taking early Social Security, they also limit you on what you can earn throughout the year without being penalized.
Correct.
So in a way, it's this double-edged sword. You're going to take money from the government early, and yet you're not going to be putting money back into the government because if you make over, I think it's $17,500, something
as a single,
you're going to be penalized. Not just taxed, but penalized.
Well, they're going to take some of your Social Security away.
So,
like you said, we're talking about the government. Not always logical in what some of the things they do. you know.
Right.
But they're going to have to do something, because if they don't, you're going to have a complete collapse of the Social
and that
Security
would be
system.
something that said we're not going to allow this
Right.
maybe a year earlier or something. But
Second, an increased Social Security tax on workers, that would, that would obviously not go over well with the working class, or employers. But if they raised it 0.5% or whatever, that would also. There's probably going to be a combination of all of these things that they were going to implement. Okay. Increased Social Security tax on income limit. I mean, you could.
That's right.
You could say, okay, anything over and above. I think it's 123,000 right now. Then you don't pay anything.
Right. Well, you pay up to that level.
Up to that level. Yeah. Well, if they would increase that and say 150 or 175,000, that would also be okay. And because you're paying that anyway, it's just that you're not maxing out. Yeah. So those are some options. And the final one, limit cost of living adjustments. Well, that wouldn't go over very well with those that are receiving. Right. But
and a need-based eligibility. Well, on the other hand, if you've paid into this for 40 quarters and beyond, you're like, wait a second, you don't get to determine if I need it or not. That's for me.
It was my money, and so just because I've done well in life and I'm making $400,000 a year, I shouldn't get it. Well, that's a philosophical difference between, maybe those on the left and those on the right. It's what they call redistribution of wealth. Take from the rich and distribute it to the poor, and that can be a viable part of our overall philosophy in government. But they're going to say, well, if you're who's the person for Berkshire Hathaway? I can't.
I can't. Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett doesn't need Social Security, but he did pay into the system all that time. Right. Okay. Right. So philosophically, you can understand why they don't get it, but at the same time, it's my money that I put into this system. Right. So if they would let us take that money and put it into our IRA, I'd be much better off. Yeah. But they don't do that. But I think that somewhere down the line, they're going to have to come up with probably a combination of all these things. The cost of living adjustment, over the last, I think, 10 years or so has been around 2.8. Now, it doesn't seem like that, but over the last...
And this year, it's 1.5.
Yeah, it was down this year.
And you're kind of like, where do they get that from? Right. The cost of living has gone up more than...
The nice thing is they exclude food and gas and all that other stuff that counts that we pay for every year. But the Social Security system was never meant to be your primary retirement. And people, unfortunately, I think half of the recipients, that's the only income they get in retirement. And so they do need to do something in that regard. Right. So it's an ongoing debate as to what they're going to do, but the odds are most of the time it's going to affect those that haven't yet claimed Social Security, the workers and things like that. If they adjust the cost of living a little bit less, that'll affect
Well, I can see, like you said, I think a combination of raising the eligibility or just getting rid of the 62 type option. Right. Increasing the tax, nobody wants to increase tax, but suppose like for us workers, it's only, $20 extra a month. Let's just say that's all it is. That could make a huge difference over time. Oh, absolutely. And then definitely, I do agree, on the income limit because, this is one instance where I'll say people making that kind of money, if they're still paying the social, they're not going to even notice it. Right. Yeah.
I mean, the $125,000 limit, and then you don't pay anymore. Just open that up and just say that.
And right there.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be the easiest thing to do. Yeah. But Congress is never popular when they increase anybody's taxes.
Right. That's true. All right. Well, you know what? Dan can help you out. Maybe not so much in your the taxes and stuff. Well,
we can help with taxes.
Well, you can. Yeah. And you can. When it comes to Social Security, it's something that Dan can help you out. really looking at, maybe how to
one of
move stuff
we
around
do
a
our
lot.
seminars, and people will ask questions at our seminars. They'll write them down so we can maybe answer them. One of the, probably the most common question that we get is, when's the best time to start taking Social Security?
Yeah.
That's probably the #1 question. And there isn't a right time.
Yeah.
I've recommended to people that start taking it at age 62 because they don't have enough income coming in.
Yeah.
And they need that money to pay their income. I've recommended some to wait till age 70 because they have other assets.
Yeah.
It's not a right or wrong question. It's just that what's the needs for that individual at this time, and maybe you can wait till age 66 or whatever it is. But I've recommended in some of our plans for people to start taking at age 62 simply because they don't have enough income.
Yeah.
So it's not a right or wrong question is when's the best time to take it. If we have other means that we can delay that, Social Security goes up at 8% a year.
Yeah.
So anyway.
All right, give Dan a call, and if you may get his.
My gosh.
Is this weekly? I always forget, 'cause I get
we
this. I
probably
always
send that
forget.
out once a month.
Yeah, so you can get the newsletter that you get on here, and if you're lucky, you may even see our video on here that he puts up. So
I put from time to time.
So what I do is I go home and I watch myself all over again. That's kind of nice. So there we are.
You need to get a live, Ken.
Yeah. All right. Hey, thank you, sir, very much.
Good to see you.
All right.
All right.
Have a good Halloween, and we'll be back.
All right.